शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Taittiriya Bhashya class. We are in Manomaya Kosha. And to point out the part in the Bhashya, let me just, it was here somewhere. Here it is. We are on page 274, number 50, the last paragraph. Okay. And we'll repeat it since we haven't met for some time. So we can repeat the Bhashya a bit and then get connected from the last class and where we stopped. We can recap that a bit and get connected so we don't feel like we have missed anything. So we start with the last sentence in the second last sentence in the in number 49. Manaha iti sankalpadi atmakam antahkaranam tanmayah manomayah yatha annamayah so ayam pranamaya abhyantarah atma tasya yajureva shirah yajuhu iti aniyata akshara pada avasanah mantra visheshah tajjatiya vachanah yajush shabdah tasya shirastvam pradhanyat pradhanyam cha yagadau sannipatya upakarat yajushahi avirdiyate swahakaradina वाचिनिकीव
वाचिनिकीव
शिर आदिकल्पना
शिर आदिकल्पना
सर्वत्र
सर्वत्र
मनसः हि
मनसः हि
स्थान
स्थान
प्रयत्न
प्रयत्न
नाद
नाद
स्वर
स्वरः
वर्ण
वर्ण
पदवाक्य विषय
पदवाक्य विषय
तत् संकल्पात्मिका
तत्संकल्पात्मिका
तद्भाविता वृत्तिः
तद्भाविता वृत्तिः
श्रोत्रादि
श्रोत्रादि
करणद्वारा
करणद्वारा
यजुः
यजुः
संकेत विशिष्टा
संकेत विशिष्टा
यजुः इति उच्यते
यजुः इति उच्यते
एवं ऋक्
एवं ऋक्
एवं साम च
एवं साम च
So, just to recapitulate, what are we looking at here? We are looking at what constitutes manomaya. And here itself, there is some kind of a both a confusion and a little bit of a resistance and a whole lot of questions, because this being called this entity called the manomaya appears to be different from pranamaya and everything, even in its makeup and in its constitution, as we shall see when we come to that. So it appears to be different, and so that causes some consternation, because people were able to accept very easily. Tasya prana eva shiraha. Okay, prana is the head, no problem, because pradhanyat we can say, because only when the prana is there, then the apana, samana, etc. are in function. So okay, no problem. And then so we saw in the Annamaya also, certain things such as the imagery, etc., were taken for granted, and we had no problem with that bird metaphor, etc. But when it comes to the mind, it looks like there is a certain kind of a territoriality. It's like, oh, it's no longer prana, it's no longer the body. The body, one can have some kind of an objectivity. One can say, oh, maybe, I am not just I am beyond this body. I'm not just this body, we can say perhaps. But then, with regard to the mind, there is not that objectivity. So all the philosophers, the Tikakara, everybody jumps into the fray, and they have a lot to say here, and there are a lot of arguments which we are going to just see in a kernel form, just a short form, because the point is to not get lost in those arguments. The point is to see their beauty and to understand the position properly. That is the whole point. Okay, so we are not trying to do a scholarly analysis of the various complaints that the people are going to have here, and the various pakshas, sides. But what are we trying to do? We are looking at what is it about the mind, the manomaya, that which is a modification of the mind, the locus of error, where there can be some kind of an identification. Why is that so difficult to come out of? And in fact, why is that so difficult to understand? That is what is fun to look at. Okay, so then last time we saw Tasya Yajureva Shiraha, up till that we had come. That the head of this Manomaya is the Yajur Veda. Up till that we had come, and we had also seen why. I'll repeat that. But as I was looking at the Bhashya, it's nice to go back a bit and remind ourselves, especially since there's been a little bit of a gap. What is this Manomaya? So, what is this Manaha? First of all, even before we talk about Manomaya, what is this thing called Manaha? What is this thing called mind? So, here Adi Shankara helpfully explains Manaha iti sankalpadi sankalpadi atmakam sankalpadyatmakam. So Atmakam means made of, composed of what? Sankalpa, etc. And Adipadat, what is that? Vikalpa. So Sankalpa means decision, Vikalpa means some other decision. Sankalpa means there is an intention to do something, not quite a decision, maybe an intention to do something. Vikalpa means, okay, I am not doing that. This is what the mana is. The manaha in the tradition in Sanskrit, it's got two meanings. One is just general. When you say manaha, is it includes all the antahkarana, the entire antahkarana, the inner instrument is called manaha, and generally, and then specifically manaha means that faculty which has trouble making decisions. That is called manaha, that shallow thinking is called manaha. So manomaya means identifying with the shallow thinker or that thinking itself. And so this is so here Adi Shankara delineates what is the mind. Sankalpadi atmakam. Sankalpadi atmakam antahkarana. Actually it is Sankalpadi atmaka antahkarana vritti according to Tattvabodha. Very nice. Vritti means it's in the form of thought. How else can you even cognize the mind? Unless you think of the mind as it is in the form of the thought, you cannot even think about the mind. So the mind is that which is primarily in the form of thoughts, vritti, mental frames that keep changing. That is the mind. And then so generally we say mind, manaha, but also mind specifically is that part of the antahkarana which has trouble making decisions. So, but it is in the form of, it's a thought world. The mind is a thought world. This is what Adi Shankara tells us. So, tanmayaha, a modification of that, manomayaha. What do you mean the modification of that? Modification of that means that it is just like he says, yatha annamayaha. Here we are not talking of annam, we are not talking of food, but that which is a modification of food, i.e., this body. So here we are not specifically talking about the mind, collective mind, individual mind, etc. We are talking of the modification of the mind where the I notion has gone into the owning up these thoughts, where the thinker is identified with the thoughts. Whereas what we need to know, this Brahman is that which morphs as which sustains the thinker and the thought without being either. So the modification of the mind, manomaya, means that antahkarana vritti, that thought world, which immediately yields itself to be owned up by the ahankara as I. So I thought everything is I. The thought becomes actually I. Okay. So then saha ayam, this manomaya, saha means manomaya, with this manomaya, pranamayasya abhyantara atma. So here again, we saw how the goalpost keeps changing. So first we are told, okay, this is Annamaya. No. Now this is Pranamaya. No. Now this is Manomaya. So which is the real Atma? Please stand up. No, yes, definitely it is Manomaya. So you catch hold of Manomaya and then it is going to be negated and then it is going to be taught that it is now catch hold of Vijnana. So slowly, slowly, one is going away from the body identification and now the identification with the mind as the I. Okay, so here this is what is being talked about, that which pervades the prana because it is more subtle, and we saw this logic, that which is more subtle pervades that which is less subtle. Because prana, after all, if we are talking of prana, it is dependent on vayu. Here the mind is not dependent on vayu or anything. The mind seems to be much more subtle and it pervades the prana also. And then we saw last time, Tasya Yajuhu Eva Shiraha. So the Yajur Veda, there are 4 Vedas, and then out of that, the Yajur Veda was seen to be the head of this Manomaya Kosha bird. The bird has a head, and the head is Yajur Veda. Why? Anybody remembers? Why was the Yajurveda the head? I just want to know if people remember so that we need not get ahead if that's the case. Why is Yajurveda the head? Okay, good to know that nobody knows. So we'll go over that again. Okay, yeah. So Tasya Yajureva Shiraha, because Yajurveda is the head, because this one, Tikakara points out this very well. Tikakara says that Yaga Swarupa, the Yaga Swarupa is the, this is the Yaga Swarupa means the Swarupa of the Yajna. So the Swarupa of the Yajna, Yaga Swarupa, it is what? It is the Dravya Devate. Dravyam cha Devata cha. So the Swarupa, the nature of the Yajna is what? The nature of the Yajna is in the form of Dravya materials and the Devatas to be invoked. And somehow those dravyas, those materials, and you have all kinds of materials, and you have laddus you can offer in the fire. Of course, there is ghee, and which is a constant. And then you can offer puffed rice balls. You can offer even curd rice for certain yajnas. So the materials are there. They are called dravya material. And then, in addition to the material, what else is there? The devatas to which the dravya has to go. The devatas means the presiding deities of the universe and of one's own karma that have to be propitiated. So the materials are for them. The materials are not for you to eat while doing the yajna. So, like I was explaining last time, children do that sometimes. I've seen this in UG. I've seen this in other places also. This child also comes along with the parents to offer and then sees, oh, little ball of jaggery or something. So one it will offer, one it will offer here. Swaha over there and aha over here. So this is not to be done. This is all just for the various devatas which are invoked esoterically. I mean, this is all based on Shraddha. And the fire becomes a mail carrier to take these oblations to the various devatas. So then there is the Dravya. Dravya is the materials which are converted into oblation. This is very important to understand. The material itself is not the oblation. The material is just things you buy from the store and put together. You buy jaggery and you buy sesame seeds, and then you roast the sesame seed and make a, what should I say, sugar syrup or a molasses jaggery syrup, and then put the sesame and make some balls. So this is not an oblation. This is just something to eat. That's all it is. This is just a dish, a sweet dish. So this is just dravya, material. So what makes this material into an oblation is the mantra. That is the connecting device. This is something which is very, very nice to understand. So the mantra is the clincher. Mantra means that which is repeated from the Vedas. And so supposing if I say Agnaye Swaha, Agnaye Idam Namaba, this is a mantra. So unto Agni Swaha means this is no longer for me. The word Swaha means it is gone for me. It is not there for me. This is yours. And who is this you? Agni. Why? Because you are the male carrier. You carry so now when I say Agnaye Swaha, the ball of the sweet ball changes from a dravya to what is known as havis. Havis means an oblation, an offering. So the mantrification of the dravya makes it into havis or a particular kind of offering, which is now purified and it is now ready to be offered. And it is very interesting. All the things are purified this way. All the things because through the ucharana articulation of various mantras, the dravyas are purified and made into oblations. Except the ghee. So the ghee is put straight away. Why? Because it doesn't need any other mantra. Mantra, of course, is offered even while putting the ghee. Mantra is chanted, but it does not purify and make it into an oblation. So what makes ghee to be fit to be served, to serve as an oblation? It is when the lady of the house, the wife of the Yajamana, looks at the ghee. All she has to do is look at the ghee and then it becomes an oblation because it becomes purified. So, in fact, that's a ritual. Patnyaha Adya Vikshanam. So, we will present the big vat of ghee. Please, mother, look at this. Look at the ghee and please purify the ghee. So this is how it is. So all the other things, they are all, the dravyas become mantra puta. So mantraihi puta, means purified into not just material. It is not a material anymore. You cannot say, oh, this is just puffed rice. It is no longer puffed rice. It is what? Havis. So now that which converts the dravya into an offering, just the material which you have bought from the shop and put together into an offering, that mantra has to have the word swaha in it, has to have the word vashat in it. So swaha, what does it mean? Swaha just means this is not there for me. This belongs to someone else, and whosever name is on it, I have already articulated their name. Indraya Swaha, Agnaye Swaha, Prajapataye Swaha, Durgayai Swaha. I have articulated the name for whom this material this dravya now converted into an offering, into a sacred offering, havis, is already there. So this swaha is the mainstay, is the main word which has two purposes. One is it converts it makes it into an offering. It not only makes it into an offering, swaha is the word of offering. Swaha is the direct word of offering. While offering, you say swaha. And then, so that is one thing. And so the second thing this mantra achieves, the mantrification of the dravyas, along with the words like swaha and vashat. We already talked about them, but since people do not remember, I will repeat this. So vashat, another word, which says this is not for me, this is for you. And so then these two words, not only they have two functions. The first function, they make the material, the dravya, into an offering, into havis. We saw that. And the second function is that they give you vairagya while doing the ritual. While doing the ritual, you have vairagya because you are not putting your hand in the pot and saving a few laddus for yourself. And you're not doing that. You are looking, you are not eating that along with the various devatas. You are not saying, after all, this is an age, this is 2022. It is an age of democracy. Come on, let's eat, you and I, at the same table, and then you, one for me, one for you. We don't do that. So even with the guests, we don't do that. This is perhaps the only culture where the host does not sit down with the guest. The guests and eat. You feed the guests, and after they leave, then you eat. This is a very different kind of a culture because of this havis. It is because of this idea of offering. And so here too, this is the second thing it does is that it gives a kind of a separation. Already when you say swaha, you can look longingly at it, but you know it is no longer for you. But then if you say, oh, what is this swaha, swaha all the time? What else can I say? You can say vashat. Vashat means it's burnt off, killed off for me. It is no longer there. And if I touch it, I'm eating barbecued, burnt food. I cannot eat this. This is not for me. And so it gives vairagya. Idam na mama, this is not for me, this is not for me, this is not for me. This is for all the devatas which are manifest in the form of the laws of the universe, which are spread as the laws of the universe. And so it is for the propitiating all of them. Why should they be propitiated? Because I am a bundle of desires. The Yajamana, the one who is doing this yajna, is a bundle of desires. And you see, even the first portion of the Vedas gives vairagya because you're making the laddus, you're offering the laddus without eating them, and later on you eat them. So you're practicing what is called deferred gratification. You're practicing a yeah, that's what it's called, a form of deferred gratification. I'm going to have this not when the desire strikes, but much later, at which point, half the time, you may not even want it. You may not even want it. And so, therefore, this is this is why Yajus becomes the head. Why? Because the words Swaha and Vashat, which are very, very important for doing this offering, guess where they are found? In the Yajur Veda. This is what the Acharya, Shankaracharya, is going to say, and this is what um, this is what constitutes the head of this thing called Mano. Manomaya means bunch of vrittis, bunch of vrittis. That's what it is. And so when you own up to those vrittis as I, then then it is this. Then this is the manomaya. Okay. So then further, so dravya devate yagasya swarupam. This is what Tikakara points out. Dravya devate yagasya swarupam. And then you accomplish this through swaha and through the words swaha and vashat. And now these two words, as I said, are found in the Yajurveda. Now the question arises, what about the Rig Veda? What about the Atharva Veda? What about the Sama Veda? Are they not used for yajna? Yes, they are. Then how can you say this Yajurvedasya, pradhanyam? How can you say that? How can you make this more prominent and make the Yajurveda more important? How can you do that? You can't, you can't do that because it is everywhere, and all the mantras of all the Vedas are used in the yajna, and in fact, 18 people sit to pray. 18 people sit for one yajna, as the Mundaka Upanishad points out. Well, who are the 18 people? 4 priests from each Veda. So that's 16, and the Yajamana and his wife. And so the main offering person and the wife, they both sit down, and so this was 18 people. So then all the yajnas have these Advaryu, means the Yajurvedic priest, Hota, the Hotri, Rig Vedic priest, like this. And then Udgatru, Samaveda priest. So, like this, they have all the priests who are there, and so all the mantras of all the Vedas are important. So, how this is a small kind of a Purva Paksha coming up. How can you say that Yajurveda? How can you have say Yajurvedasya Pradhanyam Siddham? How can you say that the prominence of the Yajurveda is established here? How can you say that that is justified? Very interesting. And they will also bring in another argument. We will see that later, that the Bhagavad Gita begs to differ. Bhagavad Gita doesn't say Yajurveda is the most important. So this is Adi Shankara first takes on the whole important, the importance of the Yajurveda. The importance of the Yajurveda means that the mantras constitute two kinds. There are two kinds of mantras. So what is the first kind of, first set of mantras? They are called Sannipatya Upakarakam. Sannipatya Upakaraka, it's a technical term. Sannipatya Upakaraka means they are Sakshat Upakara, means they are very directly pertinent to the yajna. Sannipatya means Samipe Sthitva. So, they are close to the yajna, sitting close to the yajna, they are extremely important. They are extremely important for this yajna, for this nishpatti, for the yajna to be completed. So they have what is called Sannipatya Upakarakatvam. Sannipatya means staying very close to that yajna, to in the form of that mantra, which is used very beautifully. That is what they are. The Yajur mantras, Yajurvedic mantras. And then what about the Rig Veda and Sama Veda and Atharva Veda? They also have Upakarakatvam, means they are also useful, but they have, according to the technical whatever, the traditional Sanskrit word is Arat Upakarakatvam. So Arat means it's a little bit remote in this case. So Sannipatya Upakarakatvam and Arat Upakarakatvam, two kinds of, they are both Upakaranas, they are both useful, but then one of them is useful in a very direct way. And guess what that one is? Yajurveda mantras. And therefore, it is the head of the Manomaya Kosha. Yajur mantra is the Sakshat Swarupa, and so for creating for offering on the Devatas, etc. Devatam Uddishya Havihi Diyate. So the Havis, the offering is given only through the Yajur mantras. The words of the Yajur mantra alone is used, and so it has Sannipatya Upakarakatvam. It's directly helpful, intimately helpful, immediately helpful. Then, not intimately helpful, upakarakam means helpful. Not intimately helpful is called arat upakarakam. So, rik, sama, etc. becomes arad upakarakatvam because it is necessary, but then it's important, but not as important as the Yajurveda. And so they are indirectly helpful. The shlokas are there. They are chanted, they are helpful. But the Sannipatya Upakarakatvam is what makes the Yajurveda stand out. And then this is as what? As Manomayasya Shiraha, as the head of the Manomaya. So the the Yajur mantra, in the Kalpana, the mantras of the Yajur Veda become the head of the Manomaya Kosha. And then Manomaya means what? All the vrittis, we saw this. And then, so all the vrittis are Manomaya. And then, of course, there is a question raised. If all the vritti Vishesha is Manomaya, then what will the mind be thinking of? Chocolate cake, mother-in-law, some in-laws, or something where, useless things. Oh, this one disturbs me, and that one is upsetting to me. This one is an idiot. That one is stupid, etc., etc. This is what the mind is thinking of. And then so these are all vritti visheshas. And then the vritti visheshas, there are certain general vrittis. What are the general vrittis? I don't like anybody and nobody loves me either. And so this is the general vritti. I want. General vritti. Specific vritti. This person I don't like. That person hates me. I have a problem with this one, etc., etc., etc. Specific vritti. So we have the general vritti and we have the specific vritti. And then, so this manomaya is got this, this is the body of the manomaya, and each vritti, whether it's the general one or the specific one, is taken to be I. That's why it's a kosha. It's a locus of error. Okay. So now, so if this is what is manomaya, it is composed of the general and the specific, the particular vrittis. Then that should be that those vrittis, thought of chocolate cake and a new car that one wants, or the in-laws who behave like outlaws, these kinds of thoughts, that should be the head of the Manomaya Kosha. Objection. How come you're bringing in Yajurveda? Why are you bringing in the Veda? Why are you saying the mind is Vedatmaka? I mean, in fact, if somebody has grown in the West, this is the first time they are hearing of the word Veda. They have no idea about the Veda. And here, this Taittiriya Upanishad is making it a universal fact and saying that every Manomaya, is the head of every Manomaya, is the Yajurveda. Not only any Veda, but the specific Veda. And so, so the many questions come. First question is, I am still not convinced. A small objector will say, I am still not convinced why on earth the Yajur Veda must be emphasized when really speaking, what we have is just it's just a bunch of thoughts, etc. Why should the Yajurveda be emphasized? Second one, the fact that you are saying the Yajurveda is the head of the Manomaya, there is a problem, there is a contradiction. What is the contradiction? The contradiction is that in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord Himself says, what does He say in the 10th chapter? Vedanam Samavedosmi. Out of the Vedas, the Lord says, I am the Samaveda. So then, which is the most important Veda? According to Bhagavan, Samaveda is the most important Veda. And what are you doing? You are making the Yajurveda the most important Veda here. Objection. And Adi Shankara dismisses that objection with one word, we'll see that. But since these objections are not coming out, it is discussed mostly in the Tika. I am just sort of fleshing them out so that we can understand that. They are not really discussed too much or hardly at all in the Bhashya. In the Bhashya, he just dismisses any thought of that line of thinking with one word. And then we'll see that it's just such a wonderful, clap back on all these people who, the Vaishnavites here perhaps, who say you are dissing the Bhagavad Gita and you are, there the Bhagavad Gita we revere as the words of the Lord. And what are you doing? And then this is not how it should be, etc., etc., etc. So that is one such objection which is important to look into, and we'll see how Adi Shankara deals with that objection. And so then that is one thing. And then before that, before we even get there, then the main objection is that the Yajurveda, the what is the connection between the thought world, which is Manomaya, and then the Veda? Why are you bringing in the Veda? And Adi Shankara talks about that very, very, very nicely, and gives a lot of reasoning. And we may not get there today, but definitely, tomorrow we can look into that more, because there are a few other things to look at today. So going back to the Bhashya, let us see where we are at. This is just to give the contours of what is to come. So what we can expect here. So this just shows one thing to me, is that as soon as you discuss the mind, all these problems come up. In Pranamaya, we didn't have a single objection. In Annamaya, we didn't have an objection. But as soon as we discuss the mind, all the objections and the resistance comes out. Very, very interesting. So then, going back to the Bhashya, he says that, so where are we? Yeah. Tasya shirastvam pradhanya. So pradhanyat, he says, pradhanyam cha yagadau sannipatya upakarat. So just now we saw what is sannipatya upakarakatvam. Sannipatya upakarakatvam means that this is the, remaining close to the yajna. The most important mantra in the yajna is Yajurveda. Yajushahi Havir Diyate. The Havis, the offering is, the Dravya is turned into that offering through the Yajur mantras, and then the Havis means that offering is Diyate, is given how? Swahakara Dina. Swahakara, Kara means sound, articulation. Swahakara, Vashatkara, etc. So the Adi Padat, Vashat is also included. Swaha, Vashat, so Swaha Dina. So Adi Padat, Swaha, and Vashat, because of this. And then, so then, of course, if anybody is daring now, there was one thing I think we missed here. What is, we missed this portion. We'll go back here and we'll come back later. Yajuhu iti aniyata akshara pada avasanaha mantra visheshaha tad jatiya vachanaha yajushabdaha. So this is very important. So then he goes back to articulate for us what is the Yajurveda. How do you recognize? What is this Yajurveda and how to recognize it is given here in this sentence. So, Yajuhu iti. So, that which is called Yaju, that which has the name of Yajus, what is that? Aniyata akshara pada avasanaha mantra visheshaha. So, forget that big compound. Yajuhu iti mantra visheshaha. It's a particular, specific, special kind of mantra. So, Yajus is a special kind of mantra. And what is this special kind of mantra? How do you recognize its specialty? You recognize its specialty because it is aniyata. Aniyata means not bound. Niyata, bound. Bound by what? Chandas, a particular meter. So, niyata akshara means poetry. Aniyatakshara is a fancy way of saying prose. So akshara, syllables. When the syllables are arranged in a particular manner with certain numbers and with laghu and guru. Guru means any kind of long syllable is guru. And then the, what is that? A samyuktakshara means a conjunct consonant is considered guru, long, heavy. We can take it as long or heavy, whichever one. So we have, like, even in English, I've forgotten the words, iambic and dactyl. Dactyl or dactyl and iambs, if you study English prosody, it's not much different here also. So we have all kinds of aksharas for so many meters. So, like for example, the Totaka meter. Totakacharya was the student of Adishankara. So the Totaka meter, what does it say? Vidita khila shastra sudha jaladhe. You see how it is like a lilting thing? Vidhi, short. Ta, long. Khila shastra, so two short and one long. Vidita khila shastra sudha jaladhe mahitopanishad kathitartha nidhe. So you see, it is short, short, long, short, short, long. That's how you have this wonderful meter called Totaka. And then, so it is, this is what is called Niyatakshara. Whereas Aniyatakshara is what we find all over the Yajurveda. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. It is Aniyatakshara. It is not, you can't count it and make it into a meter and chant it like Vidhita Khila Shastra Sudha Jalade. It will not fit in that tune, it will not fit into that meter at all. Namaste Rudra Manyava Utota Ishave Namaha. Aniyatakshara. It is not niyata. It is characterized by the not having a specific meter, not having any kind of thing to bind it into a particular chandas or any rules about laghu guru syllables. So the syllables are not short, long. They are short and long. Syllables are there, but they are not arranged in any particular manner. So that is aniyata akshara. Then pada. That aniyata goes for everything. Okay. So aniyata pada. Pada means quarters. So if you take the Bhagavad Gita, the Anushtup meter, it has 4 quarters. Dharma kshetre, kurukshetre, first quarter. That's called pada. Samaveta Gugutsabaha, second quarter. Mamata Pandavaschaiva, 3. And then, Kimakurvata Sanjaya, 4th quarter. So you can break in the quarters or you can break after 2 quarters. All those options are given there. Why? Because it is Niyatakshar. It is Niyata. So Niyata Pada. The Padas are there. And then finally, Avasana. Avasana means where do you put the full stop? That's also very, very, you can't just put the full stop anywhere in poetry. And here we are not talking of modern poetry where you write whatever you want and then you say it is poetry because you write it vertically and then you put it, you put it you write it vertically and then you put the full stop wherever you want. That's not poetry according to the Sanskrit chandas. So avasana, the full stop, is also enjoined in certain places and not in other places. Yo vedadau swaraf prokto. Same thing. At prokto, you can stop a little bit. Vedante cha pratishtitah. There you can stop a little bit because it's a meter. And so, like this, there is, the all the other Rig mantras are all set to meter. All of them. And Atharva mantras are set to meters and chandas. That's why we have so many Upanishads which are considered Mantropanishad. The Mundaka which we are studying is Mantropanishad. Mantropanishad and Brahmana Upanishad. Brahmana Upanishad doesn't mean the Upanishad studied by Brahmanas. Brahmana Upanishad means prose Upanishad. And anything that comes out of the Yajurveda, technically, other than Ishavasya is an exception, but other than that, it is a prose Upanishad. When, like, Ushan Havai Vajashravaha, and there was once somebody called Vajashrava. It's a prose. Sarva Vedhasam Dadau. He gave away all his property and his wealth. Tasyaha Nachiketo Nama Putra Asi. He had a son called Nachiketa. This is just reading like a story. Why? Because it is a product. This Upanishad is a product of the Yajurveda, and this is what is called the Vishesha, Mantra Vishesha. This is the Vishesha of this particular mantra. This is very of this particular. This is the unique characteristic of this particular Veda. See, now we have had a little primer in how to recognize Yajurveda. So when there is all these mantras in prose, then you know it is Yajurveda. Whereas the Mundukopanishad, we can chant that. We can chant the Mundukopanishad in it because it is in the form of poetry. So this is something to Kena Upanishad also, and so we can do that because it has niyata akshara pada avasana. But here, what is Yaju? Yajus is known for aniyata akshara pada avasana. So aniyata means free floating. Aniyata, not constrained into a certain meter, not bound by any rules with regard to the syllabic arrangement or with regard to quarters or with regard to where the full stop should be. And that is that mantra vishesha, that special kind of mantra, a conglomeration of those mantras is known by the name Yajuhu. And what is the other special thing of Yaju? Yajushahi Havir Diyate. And then Tad Jatiya Vachanaha Yajush Shabdaha. So Tad Jatiya means according to this kind of words that follow this particular prosaic kind of a arrangement is called Yajus, is called Yajurveda. So Pradhanyam cha Yagadau Sannipatya Upakarat, we saw that it is because of this Sannipatya Upakara means it is directly relevant to making the Dravya into a habis, making the material that you just buy from the store or put it together into a holy offering. That is what is needed. Yajus, that is what is needed to be done, and Yajus mantras Yajur mantras give that. And then Yajushahi Avirdiyate Swaha Karadina. And besides, the mantra has what is that? Swaha, Vashat, etc. Now, this seems to be a nice place to take on the first objection, which is unsaid, but it is there, and it is there in the Tika, etc. And what is that objection? The objection is that the Bhagavad Gita. What does the Bhagavad Gita do? The Bhagavad Gita says that the 10th chapter, the Lord says. What does the Lord say? That's Vedanam Samavedosmi. Samavedosmi. Vedanam Samavedosmi. I am Samaveda. I am not any other. I am not any other Veda. But then that is supposed to be Bhagavat Vachanam. That is supposed to be the Lord's words. We take this very, very seriously. We take the words of the Lord very, very seriously, and this is supposed to be the Lord's words. And then this is, so when they say, when the Bhagavad Gita says, what does the Bhagavad Gita say? Vedanam Samavedosmi. The Lord is speaking in the first person. I am. I am what? I am the Samaveda. Of all the Vedas, I am Samaveda. And then here what? This is here Yajurveda is the head. Now don't you think there is a mistake? All the Vishishtadvaitins stand up, and then the Dvaitins also stand up, and then no, why should this this is sacrilege. This should not have Yajurveda as Shirastvam. Why not Samaveda? Why this? So because Bhagavan says this, and if Bhagavan says this, then we should we should look at it differently. Looks like there is a terrible um, uh, contradiction. Why does Bhagavan says Vedanam Samavedosmi? Oh, because Samaveda has Tattvamasi Mahavakya? No, not why. That's not the reason. That's not why. Then why does Bhagavan say that in the in the Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavan says that because the Samaveda is set to music and therefore it has a certain Giti Vishesh. Giti means song. It has a certain Giti Vishesha, and that Giti Vishesha, that it has a song quality which stands out and makes it very pleasant to chant. And so therefore Vedanam Samavedosmi, no other reason. It's not because of they've got some mantras or anything like that. It's only Samaveda is just a reiteration of the mantras of the Rig Veda set to music. That's all. And that Geeti Vishesha is therefore makes it, the singing is involved. That's the plus point. And that's all Bhagavan is trying to point out in the 10th chapter, that wherever there is a plus point, that is me. Wherever there is a minus point, that is you. Too much of you. That's not me. Don't bring me into all the minus points. Only the plus points. They don't belong to you. They belong to me. This is what, it's very interesting. So then, in fact, minus point is also Bhagavan alone. The plus point brings out Vibhuti Darshana of Bhagavan. The glories of Bhagavan are pointed out because we are getting ready to go into the Bhagavad Darshana chapter, 11th chapter. So it is priming us for this. So it is the various Vibhutis. This is what it is, Vibhuti Yoga, with the various Vibhutis of the Lord. The Vibhuti means glories. So whenever there is a Vibhuti, whenever there is a glory in the world, please understand, Lord Krishna says, it belongs to me. So the highlighting of Samaveda is done only with reference to the Vibhuti. Vedanam Samavedosmi iti Bhagavad Ukti. So if that is the Bhagavad Ukti, if that is the statement of Bhagavan, then how can you say Yajushaha Pradhanyam Katham Mukhyatvam Katham? And then, here there is one more objection. You say, oh, because these Yajur mantras are needed to complete any kind of yajna. Why? What if you can have this thing. What if I'm from the West and I don't know any one Veda from the other? But I have seen the yajna being performed, and I know it's very efficacious. And so why not I have a fire in the backyard on a nice cold wintry day and start putting some ghee, etc., etc., and then just say whatever I want to say. So why can't I do that? And the example that is cited, a stock example that is cited, this is not in the, I don't think it's in the Tika. I'll have to check. But the thing is, I think it is more in the Param. It is there. It is cited in the Parampara. It's a paramparic example. It's a lineage example. And the lineage example is, four sadhus who are sitting, swamis, who are sitting and doing yajna. And what is wrong with this? Swamis are not supposed to do yajna for themselves. This is the idea. So, swamis are not supposed to do yajnas. They have given up the trying to improve their life through yajna and other kind of prayers, especially yajna. They will pray, but then they are not supposed to do yajna for themselves. Agni Karya is Varjita. So means Agni Karya means any kind of fire thing and all, they are not supposed to do. Unless, of course, if they are praying for the world peace or something, then it is allowed. But otherwise, the Swamis cannot sit and do. But supposing the Swamis are sitting and doing, and they try to bypass, the story goes that they try to bypass they tried to keep their Swamihood intact, even though they were engaging in a taboo activity of this fire ritual or doing this fire offering. And how did they bypass this? By not chanting Yajur mantras, by not chanting Yajurveda mantras. This is how that story goes. So, but still, that does not stop. That does not make it a yajna at all. This is the argument. And so, the Tikakara brings up a small question. What does he say? Nanu, Devata Uddeshyena, is Devata Uddeshyena, keeping a Devata in view, Dravya Tyagatmakasya Yagasya. So, a yajna where the Dravya Tyaga is involved, meaning the giving up of the offering into the fire is involved, and then it has the nature of Dravya Tyaga, keeping in mind the Devata, keeping in view the Devata, Agnaye Swaha, Prajapataye Swaha, etc., keeping in view the Devata, that Dravya is offered into the fire. So that is the Yajna. Tyagatmakasya Yagasya Swarupaha, स्वरूप उत्पत्ति मंत्रम मंत्रम विना अपि संभवति एव. Very interesting discussion. So why do I need mantra? What is yajna? Dravya tyaga, the giving up of the offering into the fire, keeping in view the devatas. So I keep this devata in view, Durga. Oh Durga, oh Durga, please take away all my obstructions and take away all the obstacles in my life. I pray. And then I offer into the fire. Why do I need Yajurveda? Without mantra also it can be done. Right? Can we do that? And then the short answer is no. So, yaga nishpatti, can you have a yajna? And if you say Yajur mantra is necessary, then what? Sama is also necessary. Rig mantra is also necessary. And then which is more important or less important, etc. So Apurva has to be created, meaning you should get the just deserts of your punya, which you have because of all the effort that you have made. That is Apurva. So that Apurva creation, that punya is created because of all the mantras, not Yajurveda alone. So why say this is, this is this is what is needed? Well, because all the mantras are necessary, and if all the mantras are necessary, how can you say the Yajurveda is the most important? And so therefore the 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 yajna has, as I said, the Samavedi, the Yajurvedi, the Rigvedi, all the three priests sits there, and only when then the yajna is accomplished. So therefore, what you said, this Yajurveda is the head of the bird, etc. It's just a bunch of rubbish, and you don't need to do this at all. Why do you have to say that these two other Vedas are the right wing and the left wing of the bird, and the head is the Yajurveda? Now, Adi Shankara, as I said, very beautifully, he just shuts them all up with one word. What is that? Vachaniki. Vachaniki means Shruti Vachanat. That's all. He doesn't need to give even an explanation, and he does not give an explanation. Because as you look into the depth of this objection, it's kind of very much head spinning. Oh my God, okay, yeah, yes, we can do the yajna without this also. And yes, it is true, we need all the priests of all the things equally. So then why is the Yajur Veda, why is the Yajur Veda so important? You sit with your head in the hands and you just worry about what is this. And for Adi Shankara, it is so clear because his head is not, full of all these vrittis with which he is identifying. In fact, in discussing the Manomaya, one is in the midst of the Manomaya itself, one is having to battle with various vrittis and get to the get to the center of this. For him, it's so easy. He just brushes it off with a very important clap back. And what is that clap back? One word clap back. Vachaniki. Vachaniki means this is a word from the Shruti. Forget Pradhanyam. Forget this. All your arguments are valid. I can see the argument all right. And then, and somebody can say, oh, Shankara is a Yajurvedi, and so he's doing partiality, etc., etc. No, he says all these things, he says, all right, don't worry about all this. Vachaniki va shira adi kalpana sarvatra. Simple. Vachaniki means what? Vachanat nirvritta. Nirvritta means accomplished by the word. And what is this? The Shrutehe Vachanat. The Shruti tells, so there is no question. It can also be the tail. You can think of the Ajurveda as the tail, or but the Shruti says it is the head. And so we need not get ahead of ourselves and give various explanations of why it is the head or why it should not be the head, etc., etc. And also, the convention is that when Shruti and Smriti are together discussed, Shruti is Baliya. Baliya means stronger. Why? Because it's the original. And the Smriti is just going along with the Shruti. Smriti is written, it's a secondary text composed by people, scholars, and saints in the tradition. Saint scholars in the tradition, whereas Shruti is revealed. So when the two are in contest, like the Bhagavad Gita with the Taittiriya Upanishad, if there is some kind of almost a clash, then we go back to the Shruti. So Vachaniki eva, meaning it is Shruti Vachanat. So that we look at Adi Shankara's Shraddha. He doesn't get into all this, he doesn't get mired in all this argument. It's just so wonderful. He says, it can be the tail, it can be the head, it can be another bird, doesn't matter, you can do whatever you want. But the Shruti says it is Yajus. Yajus is the head. Shira Adi Kalpana Sarvatra Vachaniki Va. Vachaniki means what? It is purely born of Vachana. Vachanad Eva. So it's the it's the Vastugati. Vastugati means the final denouement of a judgment about a certain, the settling of a certain issue, the final judgment. And what is Vachaniki? Means it is purely by Vachana alone is the Shira Adi Kalpana everywhere. Not just in Manomaya, Sarvatra, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, etc. There will be something that constitutes the head, there will be something that constitutes the left wing, right wing of the bird, and the tail, and the body of the bird. And so don't take it so seriously. Don't get furrows in your brow and let it go, because everywhere it is the same. It's not that only in the Yajurveda we are having this kind of an issue. Sorry, only in the Manomaya we are having this issue. We are having this issue everywhere. In other words, let go. Let go. Totally, totally, totally let go. Don't obsess over it. That is the idea. So, more we'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaga Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.